My name is Heather Cuddington and I did my theorist presentation on Fred Jones. He once stated, "For teaching to be enjoyable, you must be able to simply relax and teach. Classroom management must be built from the ground up so that most problems do not occur." So he found out that over 50% of classroom time is lost because of student misbehavior and also being off task. In order to prevent all this wasted time, teachers should be able to model appropriate behavior and classroom management methods. Some background information on Jones. He went to UCLA where he received his PhD in clinical psychology. While working at the UCLA Medical Center, he developed several methods to help children with severe emotional disorders. He conducted research on classroom management in both general and special education classrooms. He spent thousands of hours observing teachers and student behavior. And by observing these teachers, he learned that natural teachers never have to raise their voices to keep students under control. They usually don't feel burnout from teaching, and they're also able to maintain positive relationships with each student. He also wrote the book Tools, as you see in the picture, which offers updated classroom management strategies. This book describes the teaching practices of highly effective teachers. In order to get students engaged in the material being taught, the teacher must be able to manage both the discipline and instruction while also finding a way to motivate the students. Fred Jones gives specific tools in his book on the best ways to manage your classroom. His skills of discipline management are divided into 4 parts, which is called the 4-step model, which starts with classroom structure, which is setting up the classroom rules and routines. Limit setting, which is reinforcing rules through the use of body language and low-key responses. Responsibility training, which is establishment of group rewards and incentives to create group responsibility and accountability for behavior. And also a backup system, which is a series of responses designed to meet force with force so that the uglier the student's behavior becomes, the deeper he or she digs his or her hole with no escape. So, examples of classroom structure is work in the crowd, which means the teacher circulates the room to make sure students are staying on task and behaving appropriately. Room arrangement, which makes it easier to work the crowd. And Jones suggests having assigned seats so that students that misbehave do not sit at the back of the class together and cut up together. Specific procedures. Students should know exactly what to do when they come to class. So, for example, when first arriving to class, students should know to turn in their homework, sharpen their pencils, and begin on their morning work. Some examples of limit setting. Teachers should be able to use body language, so if they give their students a stern look, the students should know that they should change their behavior because they're not behaving the right way. Examples of responsibility training. Preferred activity time, which is also known as PAT. Students receive a reward for the on task time they give to their teachers. They earn minutes or seconds for positive, appropriate behavior and lose minutes or seconds for negative, inappropriate behavior. These minutes are earned for the entire class. The reward usually involves some kind of free or alternate activity time, such as playing an educational game. Students enjoy receiving a reward, while teachers benefit as students are still learning while playing the game. So this strategy helps to motivate students to want to learn and be on their best behavior so they can receive their reward. Some examples of a backup system include a warning, a conference with the teacher, loss of privileges sent to the office, detention, conference with a parent, or suspension. So you can see the consequences get worse as the behavior gets worse. So how do these ideas relate to special education? For classroom structure, both general and special education students need structure, but special education students especially need a consistent routine that they know they will be following each day. This helps them control any behavior problems that may arise by students knowing what to expect each day. Limit setting. Body language is something teachers must really work on when dealing with special education students. It is important to make sure they understand what different nonverbal cues mean so they can understand what you mean through your actions. Responsibility training. Students need to know what their actions have consequences. Backup system shows you the best way to deal with behavior problems when students begin to act out. For our guided practice, I have a scenario. You have just started a new school year and already notice your students are wasting a great deal of time being off task. Some students are busy talking, some are daydreaming, while others are unable to sit still. How will you manage to gain control over your classroom so that you are no longer wasting time trying to get students to do what they are supposed to do? So if you use the strategies Jones has created, teachers should create a classroom structure for rules and routines so students know what they are expected to do and not to do in the classroom. You should make sure to stay consistent with rules so that students take you seriously when you try to enforce them. Teachers should also find ways to engage their students to want to learn. Incentives are a great way to motivate students and get them eager to learn. So overall, responsible students who have learned to manage themselves require much less management from the teacher.